I'm going to take a little detour from Fukan Zazengi this week, but never fear, we'll be back to Fukan Zazengi next week. I thought since it's Thanksgiving this week, I would take advantage of that fact to tell you my favorite Zen story of all time about belligerent squash. So, this is a story that comes from, I'm not sure the origin of it, but I read about it in Opening the Hand of Thought, Uchiyama Roshi's wonderful book about Zen and Zen practice. And the context for this story is Uchiyama's talking about the sort of paradox between the essential world and the phenomenal world, the all inclusive big sense of self and the sort of diametrically opposed experience of life as self and other, and how both of those things are true at the same time. Sort of like a pumpkin pie. So there's the crust of the pie, there's the pie plate you cook it in, and then there's the filling. And the order of those things matter. If you put the filling on the bottom and then the pie plate and the crust and then try to bake it, it's going to be a mess. It's not quite pumpkin pie. But at the same time, um, when you eat all of those things, well, probably not the plate. You're probably not going to eat the plate. Oh, please don't eat the plate. It's not going to be a good time for you. Um, but if you eat all those ingredients and you chew them up and they're in your stomach, they're the same thing, and they're also made of nothing because eventually they'll just return to the great reality. So this paradox between the essential world and the phenomenal world, and how both are 100% true experiences of life as it is from moment to moment, is kind of the background for the story about belligerent squash. So I'm going to read to you a bit about what Uchiyama had to say about this, and then I'll have a couple of words of my own. So he says about self: self is not some fixed concept regarding who you are, it is the all inclusive self you personally wake up to. This self is the whole reality of life. And so this does not mean that self and other completely disappears, but it differs radically from the usual self other relationship. How does it differ, and just what is the self other relationship for people doing Zazen together? So we've all sat Zazen together, each of us on our individual cushions, dealing with our individual knee pains, and we all do it together at the same time. So completely separate on our cushions, but all doing it together. These two things are true at the same time. So this is a story that Uchiyama says comes from the Edo period of Japan, from around 1600 to 1868. Behind a temple, there was a field where there were many squashes growing on a vine. And one day, a fight broke out among them, and the squashes split up into two groups, making a big racket, shouting at one another. So just see if you can get this picture in your mind of a field with two factions of squashes, like the pumpkins and the butternut squash. They just can't get along. Um, to help us visualize this, Uchiyama drew some pictures. So I don't know if you can see the belligerent squashes there. Okay, get to the other ones in a minute, but apparently they weren't happy. So the head priest hears the uproar, and stepping outside to see what was going on, he found the squashes quarreling. The priest scolded them in a booming voice. Hey, you squashes! What are you doing out there fighting? Everyone do Zazen! So then the priest taught them to do Zazen. Fold your legs like this, sit up, straighten your back and neck. While the squashes were doing Zazen in the way the priest had taught them, their anger subsided and they settled down. So you see the squash Zazen there? Before, after. The priest said quietly, everyone put your hand on the top of your head. When the squashes felt the tops of their heads, they found some weird thing attached there. It turned out to be the vine that connected them all together. This is really strange. Here we've been arguing when actually we're all tied together and just living this one life. What a mistake! It's just as the priest said. After that, the squashes all got along well with each other. And then there's the squashes living the reality of life. Each its own squash, but all connected on the vine. So I love this story, and I love the illustrations. And I think it's such a great example of how Uchiyama was able to use silliness and images that we can all kind of understand to make really profound points about reality. It occurs to me that you might be around family and friends for Thanksgiving this week. And you might find that you are in a patch of belligerent fighting squash. It happens. So I think Uchiyama's teaching here is a really useful one. And even in moments like that, if we can just like stop for a second, straighten our backs, open the hand of thought, let go, and just be and observe, feel for the strange things on the top of our heads. That in silence, we can sort of notice those connections. And it'll give you maybe an opportunity, even in those moments, to model something, model a way of being, model a way back to appreciating that connection we all share. All of us are individuals, and there's no way to not be connected. Everything we do affects everyone else, and vice versa. There's also utility in being a belligerent squash. The whole thing that kicked off the story is the squashes quarreling, and that created an opportunity to practice. So it's not a problem. The moral of this story is just do zazen all the time and just be a upright squash. It's sometimes, squashes argue. Sometimes we get into arguments. Sometimes it's hard to see past our individual needs, which are important too, and appreciate that we're all connected. One of the things I'm very profoundly grateful for and give much thanksgiving for is Zazen practice, and also all of the 10,000 mistakes that had to happen to allow all of us to be together every morning in very, very different places, but all in the same place right here on Zoom. So I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you for coming to practice day in and day out. And I hope your pumpkin pie is arranged dish crust filling. That's Thanksgiving.